their mind jumps right to money. Stacks of dollar bills building up over time, quietly turning a small sum into a fortune. But let me tell you, the same principle that multiplies money can multiply you. Think about this. Every day is a new chance to put just a little more into your personal account. 10 minutes reading, one new idea, a conversation with someone wiser, a commitment to follow through when the mood fades. Small things. They don't look like much, especially on a single day. But what happens if you keep at it, day after day, year after year? People often underestimate what can happen when the compounding principle is applied to personal growth. Picture the young man who chooses to learn one new word every day. That's not much, just a word. But in 3 years, he's added over 1,000 words to his vocabulary. That's not just a richer mind, that's a different mind. It opens new doors, makes new connections possible. The same goes for every area of life. Pick up a musical instrument. Practice 10 minutes a day. In a month, you can play a tune. In a year, you might play for friends. In 5 years, you could play for a crowd. All because you made a deposit, small but steady, in your personal bank account. It works with habits too. Health, wealth, relationships. Most people look for the big leap, the miracle transformation. They want to lose 30 pounds in a month or become a leader overnight. But the law of compounding teaches that true change doesn't work like that. It's the little improvements repeated over and over that do the multiplying. Ask yourself, what could you become if you made one small improvement every day for the next year? What if you read for just 15 minutes every morning? What if you wrote one page, walked 1 mile, or listened to one idea that challenged your thinking? Here's what happens. Those small efforts start stacking on top of each other. One book read leads to the next. One conversation opens the door to another. One small discipline, repeated until it becomes a habit, changes your identity. And just like a bank account earning interest, those improvements grow on top of each other faster and faster, until one day the people around you start asking, how did he get so far ahead? That's the law of compounding applied to you. Remember this, success is not something you pursue, it's something you become. And you become it by adding to yourself, little by little, day by day. The difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of achievement is often just a few extra deposits made with consistency, patience, and belief in what's possible. So tonight, consider your own account. What are you depositing? Are you making daily contributions or waiting for a lucky break? The law of compounding is always working. The question is, will it work for you or against you? Now, I want to talk about investing because I spend a lot of my time on investing. And I think most people get it wrong. You see, Mr. Schoaf taught me to look at investing in a different way. Most people think investment is about the stock market, real estate, or maybe gold tucked away in a vault somewhere. But the greatest investment you can ever make is in yourself. You are your most valuable asset. Your mind, your skills, your character. These are the fields you cultivate, the banks you draw from, and the engines that drive your earning power. Every dollar spent on a good book, every hour invested in learning a new skill, every conversation with someone who's traveled a little farther down the road, these are deposits in your personal growth account. They pay dividends far beyond what any financial investment could ever bring. A good book costs a few dollars, but what you gain from it can change the course of your life. You pick up a biography, read about a man or woman who started with nothing, faced obstacles, but kept investing in their knowledge and habits. Suddenly you see what's possible. The right book at the right time can be worth a fortune. because it opens up new choices, and new choices create new futures. Sometimes the best investment isn't a book, but an experience. Take a trip you've never taken before. Attend a seminar that challenges your thinking. Sit down for lunch with someone you admire and listen more than you speak. Experiences shape you. They become part of your story, and the more you learn, the more you can earn. People spend fortunes chasing shortcuts, hoping for a secret that will double their money overnight. But the real secret is that every hour you spend learning, practicing, and stretching yourself multiplies your future earning power. You become more valuable in the marketplace, not because you have more degrees on the wall, but because you bring more to the table, more knowledge, more solutions, more insight. Every skill you develop becomes a tool in your kit. Every lesson learned becomes a resource you can call on, sometimes years later when you least expect it. The person who invests in personal development is never truly broke. There's always something to offer, always a way to create value. Ask yourself, what are you doing to become more valuable? Are you filling your mind with ideas that lift you higher? Are you reaching for new experiences, even when they stretch you out of your comfort zone? Are you seeking out mentors, not to be entertained, but to be changed? Here's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Successful people are always looking for ways to invest in themselves. They treat their mind and skills as assets that can grow, compound, and multiply their returns. Every bit of effort spent learning today pays off in greater confidence, better decisions, and more opportunities tomorrow. When you build yourself, you create a foundation that can weather any storm. Markets go up and down, jobs come and go, but what you've invested in yourself can never be taken away. That's why the greatest return comes not from what you have, but from who you become. So tonight, think carefully. Are you treating yourself as the best investment you'll ever make? The books you read, the people you meet, the experiences you seek, they're not just expenses, they're seeds. Plant them wisely, nurture them daily, and watch your life grow richer than you ever imagined. Consistency. That's the word most people overlook when they talk about improvement. There's a tendency to believe that progress is about intensity, about massive effort in a short burst. But improvement doesn't come from occasional heroics. It comes from daily deposits. Steady, intentional effort made over time. Picture a man who joins a gym and on his first day spends 3 hours lifting weights, running on the treadmill, pushing himself until he's exhausted. He feels good. He's motivated. But then the soreness sets in. Life gets busy, and before long, the gym bag is collecting dust in the corner. Compare that with the person who spends just 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, steadily building strength, stamina, and health. A year later, the results speak for themselves. It's not what you do occasionally that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. The person who invests 10 minutes a day in reading, reflection, or learning will outpace the one who waits for a wave of inspiration and then dives in head first, only to fizzle out. The returns on self-improvement are compounded not by passion alone, but by persistence. Think about it like watering a plant. You don't flood it with gallons once a month and then ignore it the rest of the time. You give it a little water every day or every few days, and over time it grows. Your skills, your mindset, your habits, they're just like that plant. They respond to regular care. The challenge, of course, is that daily effort doesn't always feel rewarding. Progress is slow. You might wonder if it's making any difference. But here's the truth. Every day you show up, you're making a deposit. Even when you don't see immediate results, the account is growing. And one day, the balance is enough to change your circumstances. Improvement isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, repeated actions. Want to be a better speaker? Practice a little each day. Want to learn a language? Study a few words every morning. Want to become more disciplined? Keep one small promise to yourself every day. Ask yourself, what's easier, 10 minutes a day for a year, or hours of catching up because you let things slide? Consistency breaks down big goals into manageable pieces. It gives you a chance to build momentum, and momentum is what turns average into exceptional. Now, enthusiasm is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with feeling fired up, with wanting to make a leap forward. But don't let the spark burn out before the habit is formed. Improvement is a marathon, not a sprint. The person who wins is the one who stays on the track, even when the stands are empty and the finish line is nowhere in sight. Success leaves clues, and one of the biggest clues is this: the people who achieve the most are not always the ones with the most talent or the best luck. They're the ones who keep showing up day after day, rain or shine, making daily deposits into their own development. So tonight, ask yourself, where can you trade occasional effort for daily consistency? Where can you build a habit so small it's almost impossible to skip? Remember, it's the small hinges that swing the big doors. Improvement, wealth, relationships. Every meaningful result is built on a foundation of consistency. Make your deposits day after day and watch as your personal account grows beyond what you ever thought possible. But this stuff isn't part-time. You can't take your eyes off of it for too long. You got to be aware. You see, awareness is the interest that begins to accumulate the moment you open your mind to something new. Every idea you encounter, every lesson you absorb, expands your perspective just a little more. And just like financial interest, the growth of your awareness can surprise you if you let it compound. You know, there was a time in my own life when my world was small. I thought I saw all there was to see. But the moment I picked up a new idea, read a book that challenged me, or listened to someone with a different point of view, suddenly the boundaries shifted. The world became a bigger place, filled with opportunities and possibilities I'd never considered. Each new idea is like a deposit. On its own, it may not look like much, but ideas have a way of connecting. Read one book, and you understand a little. Read another, and suddenly the first book makes even more sense. Meet someone who's traveled a road you haven't, and you start to see how your journey could be different. The more ideas you collect, the more you begin to recognize patterns, spot opportunities, and make better decisions. But awareness doesn't grow on its own. It takes intention. You have to pause and reflect, review what you've learned, and ask yourself how it applies to your life. Application is where the compounding really begins. It's not enough to simply hear a good idea. You have to turn it over in your mind, test it, and see if it works for you. Here's the magic. The more you reflect and review, the more you see. Suddenly, you're not just absorbing new information. You're connecting it to what you already know. Insights start to appear. You recognize how today's lesson fits with something you learned years ago. That's when you feel your understanding start to multiply. Let's say you decide to learn about business. You start with one principle, perhaps how to manage your time. Then you read about goal setting. Now you can see how managing your time connects with reaching your goals. Next, you learn about leadership, and suddenly, all these pieces come together. Each layer of awareness builds on the last, and before you know it, you've created a rich, interconnected web of knowledge. But remember, just as interest compounds only if you leave it in the account, awareness grows only if you continue to feed it. The moment you stop seeking, stop reflecting, or stop applying, the compounding slows down. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and the interest of awareness will continue to pay dividends. This is how you move from just knowing things to truly understanding them. When you make it a habit to reflect, to apply, and to share what you've learned, the awareness grows faster than you might expect. It doesn't just change what you know. It changes who you are and how you see the world. So tonight, consider how you can earn more interest on your awareness. Are you seeking new ideas? Are you reflecting on what you learn, or just letting it pass by? The more you review, the more you apply, the more your understanding will compound. And that understanding, over time, will open doors you didn't even know existed. But here's the other side of compounding: neglect. Just as positive action multiplies, so does inaction. Skipped days, ignored habits, and postponed goals don't just pause your progress, they quietly erode your momentum. The cost is hidden at first, but over time, it compounds with astonishing speed. Neglect is sneaky. It rarely announces itself with a warning bell. It slips in quietly when you decide to skip your daily reading, or when you let the sun set on a promise you made to yourself. One day turns into 2, then a week, then a month. Before long, the gap between where you are and where you intended to be has grown wider than you ever imagined. Consider the man who neglects his health. It doesn't happen all at once. He skips his morning walk, eats just a little too much, puts off a doctor's visit. Nothing feels urgent. Until one day, he wakes up to find energy and vitality have slipped away. The compounded cost of neglect is now a heavy burden. The same is true in business. Neglect your customers and they quietly drift away. Ignore the small details and the cracks begin to show. Postpone necessary changes and before long, you're facing a mountain instead of a molehill. Neglect always compounds in silence until the consequences roar. Even relationships are subject to this law. Stop making small deposits of kindness, appreciation, and attention, and a distance starts to grow. It might take months or years, but the result is always the same. What was once close becomes distant, and what was once strong becomes fragile. Neglect isn't just the absence of action. It's a force that works every day, whether you notice it or not. And the price of neglect is always higher than the effort required for discipline. It's far easier to keep up than to catch up. It's easier to maintain momentum than to rebuild it from nothing. Discipline is the antidote to neglect. A small act of discipline each day can prevent the slow decay of neglect. The discipline to read, to practice, to follow through on your commitments, these are the small hinges that prevent the big doors from rusting shut. Discipline requires effort, but it also creates freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from the heavy cost of inaction. So ask yourself tonight, where has neglect started to creep in? Is it your health, your finances, your relationships, or perhaps your own personal growth? Remember, the bill for neglect always comes due. The earlier you catch it, the smaller the cost. Don't wait for a crisis to restore what small, daily disciplines could have preserved. The price of discipline is pennies compared to the price of regret. Keep making those deposits, even when they seem insignificant. The law of compounding will reward you. Neglect will never serve you. Only discipline will. The hidden cost of neglect is always accumulating, but so are the rewards of diligence. You choose every day which side of the ledger you'll add to. The decision may seem small, but over time, it's the difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment. Okay, I want to talk about what happens when you share what you've learned. There's a principle as old as time. What you teach, you master. When you take the time to explain an idea to someone else, you discover gaps in your own understanding, and you find ways to clarify your thinking. In the process, your own grasp of the subject deepens. It's remarkable how the act of teaching transforms you. The student asks a question you hadn't considered, and suddenly you see the idea from a new angle. The challenge of simplifying a complex concept forces you to make it your own. With every attempt to communicate what you know, you strengthen your knowledge, your confidence, and your ability to create value in the world. This is where the interest of growth multiplies. Share a lesson with your family, discuss a new idea with a friend, or lead a group at work through something you've just learned. Every time you give away what you know, you actually get to keep more. Knowledge, unlike money, grows by division. The more you share, the more you have. Your example speaks just as loudly as your words. People are watching even when you think no one notices. When you practice what you preach, when your actions align with your values, you become a beacon. Others are drawn to that light. They may not remember every word you say, but they'll remember how you lived, how you handled challenges, how you responded to setbacks. Influence is the compound interest paid on a life of integrity and generosity. Think about the teachers who made a difference in your life. Chances are, it wasn't just the information they gave you. It was the way they lived it, their enthusiasm, their commitment, their willingness to go the extra mile. Those are the things that stick. Every one of us has the opportunity to become that kind of influence for someone else. Don't wait until you feel like an expert before you share what you know. Teach what you're learning, even if you're just one step ahead. Sometimes the best way to master a skill is to help someone else take their first steps. When you do, you'll find your own understanding solidifying, your confidence growing, and your impact multiplying. In business, the leaders who build strong teams are the ones who invest in the growth of others. They don't hoard their knowledge, they pass it on. They understand that a rising tide lifts all boats. As you help others grow, you create a community of shared progress, and the momentum of collective improvement becomes unstoppable. So tonight, think about the opportunities you have to teach, to encourage, and to lead by example. Remember, every time you share, you're not just helping someone else. You're doubling the return on your own investment and growth. The compounding principle multiplies through teaching and example, turning your knowledge into a legacy that reaches far beyond your own life. Now here's the key: understanding the seasons. You see, life comes in cycles, just like nature. There are times to plant, times to prune, and times to harvest. If you learn to recognize and leverage these seasons, the compounding effect on your growth becomes even greater. Some people try to harvest in winter and plant in autumn, expecting results out of season. But the wise person learns to align effort with timing. When it's planting season, you sow ideas, habits, and disciplines, even when the results are nowhere in sight. You invest energy into learning, developing new skills, and building relationships, trusting that the effort will pay off when the season shifts. Then there's the season for pruning, letting go of what no longer serves you. Sometimes growth requires subtraction. Old habits, unproductive routines, and outdated beliefs must be trimmed away to make room for the new. Pruning is not always pleasant, but it is always necessary. Without it, resources are wasted, and the harvest is smaller than it could be. Eventually comes the season to harvest. This is when you reap the rewards of the seeds you've sown and the care you've given. But don't expect a harvest if you skip the work in earlier seasons. The farmer who neglects planning has nothing to gather. In the same way, you can't expect results in your own life if you haven't done the groundwork. Each season compounds into the next. The skills you develop today become the foundation for tomorrow's opportunities. The habits you form in your youth support the achievements of your adulthood. And the lessons learned in seasons of struggle prepare you for seasons of abundance. It's important to remember, every season has a purpose. The slow, quiet days of winter are for rest, reflection, and planning. Spring is for action, for new beginnings. Summer demands hard work and perseverance as growth accelerates. And autumn is the time to gather the rewards, give thanks, and prepare for the next cycle. Don't get discouraged if your current season feels tough. Growth often happens beneath the surface, out of sight. The roots go deep before the branches stretch wide. The efforts you make in one season may not pay off until the next, or even the one after that. Patience is part of the compounding process. Tonight, ask yourself, what season am I in? What should I be focusing on right now? Planting, pruning, or harvesting? Don't rush the process, and don't compare your season to someone else's. Trust the rhythm of growth, and you'll find that every season, even the challenging ones, add up to a lifetime of compounded progress. Your job is to make the most of each season as it comes. Keep planting when it's time to plant. Prune when it's time to let go. Work hard during the growing season and harvest with gratitude when the time is right. Over the years, you'll see how the law of compounding works through every phase, multiplying your returns far beyond what one season could produce alone. Now, I want to talk about one of the most important accounts you'll ever build, your character. Discipline, honesty, persistence. These are deposits that multiply trust and opportunity over time. Every choice you make adds or subtracts from your personal equity, shaping not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. It's tempting to think the small choices don't matter. One little shortcut, a half-truth, a promise broken just this once. But the law of compounding is always at work, even when it comes to character. One act of discipline makes the next one easier. One honest word builds a bridge to greater trust. One display of persistence in the face of difficulty shows those around you and yourself what you're made of. Over time, these small acts multiply. They become your reputation. And reputation is a powerful form of compound interest. People trust you a little more each time you deliver on your word. Opportunities show up for those known to be reliable, honest, and steady. The person who practices discipline and integrity stands out in a world full of shortcuts and excuses, but just as good choices compound, so do the bad ones. Neglect your character, and it doesn't just cost you once. It costs you again and again. The lie told to avoid trouble leads to another, and soon the truth is hard to find. The moment you break a promise, even a small one, your own confidence begins to erode. Others notice, and so do you. Persistence is another form of compounded character. The person who refuses to quit, who keeps showing up, learns to trust their own resilience. Others see it too. Every time you push through difficulty, you add another layer to your foundation. Soon, people turn to you when the storm hits, not just for your skills, but for your strength of character. Discipline, honesty, persistence, they are the investments that pay off in every area of life. They build your equity in relationships, business, and even in your own self-respect. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you're adding to an account that grows more valuable with every passing year. Ask yourself, what's the state of your character account? Are you making regular deposits, or have you let withdrawals go unnoticed? Remember, it's never too late to start compounding good choices. One act of integrity today can erase a dozen doubts from yesterday. One commitment kept can begin to restore trust that was lost. And here's the best part. The more you invest in your character, the more opportunities will come your way, often when you least expect them. Strong character multiplies relationships, earns respect, and unlocks doors that talent alone can never open. Tonight, consider your next choice. It may seem small, but over time, it could make all the difference. The law of compounding works just as powerfully in building character as it does in building wealth. Let it work for you, and you'll discover that trust, respect, and opportunity are among the finest dividends life can pay. But life isn't all sweet. Just like ice cream can give you brain freeze, success can bring you frustration. And one of the greatest frustrations in personal development, the timeline of transformation. Results lag behind effort. Most people give up right before the curve bends upward, right before all those invisible deposits begin to show visible returns. You see, growth works quietly for a long time. Imagine someone who decides to plant bamboo. For the first year, nothing seems to happen. The second year, still nothing above ground. 3 years go by, and friends begin to doubt. But underground, roots are spreading. The foundation is being laid. Then in the 5th year, the bamboo shoots up, growing feet in a matter of weeks. The transformation appears sudden, but it was years in the making. That's how self-improvement compounds. You put in the hours, reading, practicing, making the right choices, and for a while it seems like nothing is happening. No applause, no big breakthroughs. It's easy to become discouraged, to believe that your effort isn't making a difference. But remember, the timeline of transformation is not a straight line. Progress stacks up quietly until one day it erupts into results. This is where most people lose heart. They mistake the absence of immediate payoff for a lack of progress. They stop going to the gym after a few weeks because the scale hasn't moved. They put down the book because the answers haven't appeared. They abandon the discipline because the rewards aren't instant. But those who succeed understand the nature of compounding. They trust the process during the flat period, knowing that each day's effort adds to an invisible stack. The curve bends suddenly, not because of one heroic effort, but because of 1,000 quiet days of showing up. It's important to remind yourself that the delay is part of the design. Nature works in seasons. Babies crawl before they walk. Seeds spend months underground before they sprout. And fortunes are built one small investment at a time. Endurance is what separates those who finish from those who falter. Every time you push through discouragement, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're moving closer to the day when your results become undeniable. The world may not see it yet, but you're building the foundation for the explosion of growth that's coming. Patience is one of the most valuable virtues in the compounding process. It's what allows you to stick with it during the invisible phase, to keep making deposits, even when the account looks empty. Trust that the tipping point will come if you stay the course. So tonight, if you're tempted to give up because you haven't seen results, remember the timeline of transformation. Growth is stacking up behind the scenes. Stay with the process, endure the flat period, and prepare yourself for the day the compound return bursts into view. You'll be glad you didn't quit one day too soon. Mr. Schoaf always said, you can't earn more until you become more. The world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you've become. Money, success, and freedom flow to the person you've compounded into through years of steady investment in personal growth. Think about it. Wealth, opportunity, respect, influence. These are outcomes, not starting points. They arrive as the natural result of developing your mind, your character, and your capacity. The marketplace rewards value, and value is the byproduct of improvement, discipline, and consistent action. If you want to change your circumstances, the fastest way is to change yourself. Many people chase after money thinking it's the answer. But the truth is, money is a